ugly face with ugly clothes, just like a beggar. We didn't invite beggars like you. Get out. You can't be serious. I said get out.
I attended my sister's lavish wedding, only to have her tell me, ugly face with ugly clothes, just like a beggar. Mom laughed. We didn't invite beggars like you. Get out. So I left and I secretly cancelled all the payments and trips worth $86,000. Later, my phone started ringing non-stop and someone showed up at my house. Well, let's go. What happened that morning completely shattered my worldview. It was the day before my younger sister Coraline's wedding. The phone rang at 8 a.m. I was getting ready to head over to my parents' house to help with the last preparations as the maid of honor. Until I turned 32, I was always the responsible daughter, the one who solved all the family's problems. Whenever my family needed something, I was there to help. I always suppressed my own feelings for the sake of keeping peace. I thought that was just how things were supposed to be. But what I heard on the other end of the phone that morning was my mother Diana's cold voice. Elise, about tomorrow, she said. There was no emotion in her tone. Coraline decided. You won't be the maid of honor anymore. I felt my hand shake as I held the phone. What? What do you mean? Her friend Tara will be maid of honor instead. You'll just attend as a regular guest. A regular guest. At my own sister's wedding, I was just a regular guest. I was utterly at a loss for words, thinking of all the time, effort and money I had poured into this wedding. But I've been helping with everything all this time. My voice trembled. I know, but this is Coraline's decision. She wants her best friend to do it. After hanging up, I rushed to my parents' house as quickly as I could, desperate to find out what was really going on. But what awaited me there was the cruelest blow of my life. Elise, you're here. Have a seat, my mother Diana said coldly. My parents, Coraline, and the groom Trent were all sitting in the living room. At first, everyone looked happy, but as soon as they noticed me, the atmosphere changed instantly. Elise, this is good timing, Coraline began. We've all talked about your attitude lately. You keep saying negative things about Trent and can't just be happy for us. I was stunned. I was just worried, that's all. Isn't it a little soon to get married after only 3 months? And sometimes I was concerned about how Trent acts around you. There she goes again, Trent interrupted. You're always trying to get between us. You just can't stand to see Coraline happy, can you? That's not true, I tried desperately to explain. I just worry when I see Trent commenting on what Coraline eats or limiting who she can spend time with. I thought maybe you two needed more time to get to know each other. But in the end, I support your decision to get married. That's why I wanted to be your maid of honor. Coraline gave a cold smile. Trent really cares about me. Maybe you can't understand it, but this is what love looks like. I'm just worried about you, that's all. Isn't it natural for an older sister to care about her sister's future? I just thought you didn't need to rush into marriage. Trent stood up. We're soulmates. This isn't like you dragging out a relationship for years before deciding to get married. My father Gerald spoke in a heavy tone. Elise, you've always been too critical. Are you trying to ruin your sister's happiest day? Don't you see how much your worry is hurting Coraline? My heart froze. Critical? When had I ever been critical? All I ever did was worry about Coraline getting married so quickly. I just wanted her to be sure about Trent before committing. I wasn't criticizing anyone. I tried to explain desperately. My mother let out a deep sigh. Elise, I can't have your negative energy ruining this sacred day. Negative energy. Everything I'd ever done for my family was being dismissed as negative energy. That's why I've decided, Coraline continued. I don't want you at the wedding. This is what we all agreed on. My world crumbled. You're saying I can't come to the wedding? That's right, my mother said firmly. You're just a beggar. Get out of my house. We don't need you, beggar. My own mother called me a beggar. After all the sacrifices I'd made for this family, after everything I'd done to support them, that word cut through me like a knife. This is too much. Do you have any idea what I've done for this family? I stood up, trembling, feeling tears streaming down my face. "Don't be so dramatic," my mother said. "Grow up." "Fine. But I'll never forget what happened today. And I'll never forget everything I've done for you." I left the house. When I got home, I found myself reflecting on my life. I had always been the good daughter, the responsible sister. I had always lived up to my family's expectations, solved their problems, and put my own feelings last. But this was the result of all those years. That night, my Aunt Harriet called me. "Elise, you won't believe what just happened." Harriet's voice was trembling with anger. "I overheard Diana talking to some neighbors just now." I gripped the phone tightly. "What was she saying?" "She was talking about the wedding expenses you covered." I heard Diana laughing and saying, "It's great we could have such a beautiful wedding thanks to Elise's money. Not that I ever planned on paying her back." I felt the blood draining from my face. No intention of paying me back. So they'd meant to trick me from the very beginning. "And that's not all," Harriet continued. She said, "That girl will always pay for the family, so we might as well use her. She married someone wealthy, but she's basically a beggar anyway. Tomorrow's wedding, that's going to be fancy too, thanks to her money." The neighbors just laughed along. After hanging up, I couldn't stop shaking. A mixture of anger and betrayal left my mind blank. When my husband Callum came home from work and saw my state, he was shocked. "What happened?" I explained everything to him through tears. His face turned bright red with anger. "I can't believe this. Not only did they throw you out of the wedding, but now they're trying to steal your money. And talking about you like that." The total amount we had advanced was $42,000. We'd paid for the venue, catering, flowers, photos, and dresses. All out of our savings. "What should I do, Callum? I'm completely lost. What do I do about tomorrow's wedding?" Callum took my hand. "I support whatever you decide. What do you want to do?" Something changed in me at that moment. I was tired of being used by my family. Realizing they intended to deceive me until the very end, I felt a sharp, clear anger. "I'm canceling everything," I said, my voice steady. "I'm canceling it all right now. But tomorrow's the wedding." "That's exactly why," I said, standing up. "When nothing arrives tomorrow morning, maybe then they'll finally understand my worth." It was already 9 p.m. Most of the vendors were closed, but I started calling every emergency number I could find. First, I called the catering company. "I'm sorry for calling so late. This is Elise Rennick, and I'm calling about tomorrow's wedding for Coraline Rennick. I'm the one who paid for everything, and I need to cancel the catering immediately." "What?" "We were scheduled to deliver first thing in the morning. I am the contracting party and I want to cancel everything." "Understood. There will be a cancellation fee." "That's fine. Please make sure nothing is delivered tomorrow." Next, I contacted the venue's emergency line, the florist, the dress shop, and the photographer. Then I moved on to the most dramatic blow, canceling the honeymoon. Coraline and Trent had booked a 2-week luxury trip to Maui worth $24,000, all charged to my credit card. Ironically, the trip was booked through the travel agency Callum runs. He hesitated at first, but seeing my resolve, he supported me. "Legally, you're in the clear. The trip hasn't started, so you'll get a refund after cancellation fees." When all the calls were done, it was past midnight. A sense of accomplishment washed over me. I would never be anyone's convenient wallet again. That resolve had solidified within me. Callum put his arm around my shoulders. "You did the right thing. Tomorrow they'll have to face the consequences of their actions." On the morning of the wedding, my phone started ringing around 7 a.m. The first call was from Coraline. "Elise, what's going on? The caterers say they're not coming." I answered calmly. "I cancelled it. Everything was under my name." "What? How could you do something so awful? Why should I keep paying for people who threw me out?" "But it's my wedding day." "That's no longer my concern. When you decided to cut me out, I stopped being part of your family." Next, my mother called. "Elise, what are you doing? You said it yourself yesterday, Mom. I'm a beggar and you don't need me, so you certainly don't need my money. But today is Coraline's big day. Then use your own money. I'm done. My phone kept ringing after that, but I ignored every call. In the evening, I heard that the wedding took place 3 hours late in a much humbler style than planned. The food was delivery pizza. The flowers were cheap bouquets from the local convenience store, and the photos were taken with relatives' phones. I heard that Coraline ended up getting married in an ordinary dress. That day, I spent a quiet afternoon with Callum. I felt a little guilty, but even more than that, I felt liberated. For the first time, I had actually protected myself. What I did wasn't revenge. It was simply exercising my right to defend myself. The next morning, my phone rang again. It was Coraline. Elise, we were turned away at the airport. Did you do something again? I answered calmly. I cancelled your trip. What? Why would you do something so awful? I covered all the costs for your wedding and honeymoon. Neither you nor Mom ever planned on paying me back. At least that's what Mom was saying. I could hear Coraline sobbing and talking to Trent in the background. Elise, please. Sorry. What happened yesterday went too far. But the honeymoon at least. Sorry. Now, after everything, my voice was icy. You kicked me out of the family. Now you have to live with that decision. Without waiting for a response, I hung up. Meanwhile, Callum was caught in the middle since the honeymoon had been arranged through his travel agency. Canceling the trip required all sorts of arrangements and calls. It was a lot of work, Callum said wearily. Contacting the airline and hotels, calculating cancellation fees, processing refunds. But I still think you did the right thing. Thank you. I'm sorry for dragging you into this. Don't be. Your family is the one at fault. That evening there was an unexpected knock at our door. Coraline and Trent stood at the entrance holding a huge bouquet. Elise, can we talk? Trent asked politely, nothing like his usual arrogant self. Reluctantly, I let them in. They sat in our living room, looking nothing like the people I'd seen yesterday. Coraline especially had lost all her usual glow and just looked exhausted. Trent then lowered his head. First of all, I want to sincerely apologize. We were completely wrong about the wedding. Coraline, eyes brimming with tears, added, Elise, I'm truly sorry. I said terrible things and I hurt you. I folded my arms and stared at them. So, what do you want from me now? Trent spoke, clearly struggling. You were right to be concerned about our relationship. Actually, I lied about my job. He frowned. What do you mean? Coraline answered for him. Trent's construction company. Things weren't going well. He has a lot of debt. I had no idea. After the honeymoon was cancelled, we started talking about a lot of things, Trent continued. And that's when we realized just how fragile our relationship really was. You were worried for a reason, Coraline said through tears. We rushed into things. We hardly knew each other. We got carried away, and when you pointed it out, I just lashed out at you. My feelings were complicated. It was true that I'd been worried about their relationship, but it was also true that they'd excluded me from the wedding because of that. So I said coolly, what do you want from me? I heard your apology, but don't think that's enough. Trent spoke earnestly. We'll pay back the money. Even if it takes time, we will. Coraline choked up. Elise, we were completely wrong about the money, about the wedding, everything. How can we make it right? I took a deep breath and spoke slowly. I accept your apology, but rebuilding trust will take time. For now, I'd like you both to leave. And so they left our house. But my heart was still tangled with mixed emotions. They had apologized, but regaining my trust would take much longer. The day after Coraline and Trent came to apologize, my mother Diana showed up at my door, still just as overbearing as ever. Elise, this has gone on long enough, she said abruptly. We're family. We're supposed to forgive each other. Coraline has already learned her lesson. I stood up. Forgive each other. You called me a beggar, and that's supposed to be mutual. That was going too far. But you ruined their honeymoon. That was over the line too. I couldn't believe what I was hearing. Who tried to steal my money in the first place? Just then, Callum came home from work. The moment he saw what was happening in the living room, his expression changed. "Diana," he said in a low voice, "I heard you called my wife a beggar." My mother shrank back immediately. Callum is usually gentle, so she must have been frightened by this side of him. "Callum, it was a misunderstanding. I was just emotional." Callum gave a cold laugh. "A beggar? You think Elise depends on me financially?" "Well, it's just that, Elise," my mother trailed off. "You clearly have no idea what my wife is capable of," Callum said firmly. "Elise is an executive at an event planning company. She earns $195,000 a year. My annual income is $310,000. So our household income is $505,000. My mother was at a complete loss for words. "What? Elise earns that much?" "That's right," Callum continued. "My wife is successful on her own. The person you called a beggar is someone who can pay $42,000 for Coraline's wedding out of her own income without a second thought." "But I didn't know." "No, you never even tried to know. Have you ever once shown any interest in your daughter's work or her accomplishments? You've always only cared about Coraline, never once acknowledging Elise's success." My mother's face turned pale. "You called my wife a beggar because you assumed she was incapable. You thought she was just a pathetic woman who relied on me. That's not, I didn't mean it that way. Intentions don't matter. You belittled your daughter based on your own prejudices. In reality, Elise is extremely successful both financially and socially." Callum stood beside me and put his hand on my shoulder. "Do you even realize how much she's done for your family? All the sacrifices she's made, not just money but her time, her feelings, everything she's poured into helping you," he continued. "And every penny she ever spent on your behalf, she earned herself. It wasn't my money." "Elise, I had no idea you were so successful," my mother said, her voice trembling. "You were never interested in my success," I finally said. "It was always about Coraline. No matter how hard I worked, you never acknowledged me. And in the end, you called me a beggar. I underestimated you. I had no idea how incredible you really are." My mother began to cry. Callum spoke calmly. "You had an amazing daughter, but you refused to see it, and now you've insulted and lost her. I hope you understand just how serious that is." My mother was completely deflated. For the first time, she realized how deeply her ignorance and prejudice had hurt her daughter. That day she left our house. But I could sense something fundamental had changed in her. She finally understood the seriousness of her misunderstanding and prejudice toward her own daughter. About a month after the honeymoon drama, I took some time to reflect on my relationship with my family. I'd accepted their apologies, but I was sure that things couldn't go back to the way they were. Unless we resolved the underlying issues, the same problems would keep repeating themselves. One Sunday afternoon, I decided to gather my entire family together. I booked a private room at a nearby family restaurant to keep things neutral. The attendees were my parents, Coraline, Trent, Callum, and myself, 6 in total. "Thank you all for coming today," I began formally. "What I'm about to say is crucial for how we move forward as a family." Everyone watched me anxiously. "The first thing I want to say is that I can't go back to the way things were," I said clearly. "For years, I was treated as the family's fixer. Whenever there was a problem, I solved it. If you needed money, I paid. If you needed emotional support, I gave it. But my own feelings and opinions were always brushed aside." I paused before continuing. "But I do love this family. That's exactly why I want to rebuild our relationships under new rules." "New rules?" Coraline asked nervously. I took out the notes I'd prepared. "Yes, these are my minimum conditions. If you can't accept them, then I'll have to completely cut ties with the family." Callum squeezed my hand in support. "First, regarding financial support. From now on, I will not provide any financial assistance to the family. The $42,000 I have already paid will be returned as promised. Second, my feelings and opinions must be respected on the same level as everyone else's. Then I changed my tone. Finally, I propose family therapy. I want us to work with a professional therapist to rebuild our relationships in a healthy way. Therapy? My mother said in surprise. Yes. With the help of a family therapist, we can talk about our problems and relearn how to communicate. There was a long silence. Everyone seemed to be absorbing my words. After we got home, Callum turned to me and said, "You did something really brave today. I'm proud of you." "Thank you. But the real test starts now, whether everyone will actually keep their promises." "Don't worry. If anyone can make this work, it's you." Over the next 3 months of therapy, our family started to change little by little. My mother let go of her unreasonable expectations of me, and Coraline began to take responsibility for her own problems. As promised, Coraline and Trent started repaying me $1,200 each month. My mother also offered to pay back $600 a month from her part-time job income. "This isn't just about paying you back," she told me. "I want to give something back to you for all the times I relied on you." I was surprised. We created new family rules, monthly family meetings, guidelines for expressing emotions, and steps for solving problems together. They were our blueprint for building healthier relationships. 5 years have passed since we started therapy. This year, for the first time in 5 years, Callum and I decided to host Thanksgiving and invited everyone to our home. Over these 5 years, our family relationships had transformed dramatically. On the 4th Thursday in November, I was busy from early in the morning preparing for Thanksgiving. Callum was roasting the turkey while I took care of the side dishes. This year was special because it felt like a celebration of everything we had built as a new kind of family. Around 2 p.m., Coraline arrived first, but she was a completely different person from who she'd been 5 years ago. She had started studying psychology at a local university and had divorced Trent 2 years ago. "Hey, Elise. Can I help with anything?" Coraline asked brightly. "Thank you. Could you make the salad?" We worked together in the kitchen, chatting easily. No tension like before. "Oh, by the way," Coraline said, "I sent you the final payment last month. I finally paid off everything I owed you." Just as she'd promised, she repaid every dollar of the debt over 5 years, increasing her monthly payments to $1,800 for the last 2 years. "You did such a great job," I told her sincerely. Divorcing Trent was definitely the right choice too. "Thank you. Therapy taught me I don't have to stay in a relationship that doesn't fit. I'm much happier now." My father, after retiring, started volunteering in the community, and my mother had begun to cherish her own time. "Elise, what a beautiful home you have," my mother said admiringly. "We had bought this new house 2 years ago, partly using the money my family had repaid." "Thank you, Mom. You look well." "It's thanks to therapy. I finally had a chance to reflect on my life," she replied. She really had changed. No more controlling attitude. She respected my opinions and could admit when she was wrong. "Elise," my father said, coming over to me, "I'm truly grateful to you. Thank you for not giving up on us and leading us this far. Dad, we all worked hard for this. It's not just me. No, we couldn't have changed without you. Your courage saved our family." At 6 p.m., Callum's parents joined us, and all 7 of us sat down to Thanksgiving dinner. The table was full of homemade dishes, and the house echoed with laughter. That night, after everyone had gone home, Callum and I cleaned up in the kitchen. "Today was really wonderful," Callum said. "Yes. 5 years ago, I never would have believed this was possible. The day you set your boundaries, that's when everything started to change. I've grown so much myself. I used to sacrifice myself for family harmony, but now I value my own feelings and can say no when I need to. And I decided to live my life putting my own emotions and dignity first." It took 5 long years, but we finally built a new kind of relationship, one where everyone can truly be themselves.
Who took my car? My car is gone. Who did this? No, this can't be happening. Please, someone help. Why me? I can't believe this. My car, it's really gone.
I went outside to see an empty parking lot. My first car is gone. I called my parents in a panic. Mom laughed. Oh, relax, we gave it to your sister. She needs it more. My sister has crashed 3 cars in years. So I dialed 911.00. Well, let's go. My name is Callista, and I was 28 years old when I finally understood that some families take from you until there's nothing left. I worked as a programmer in Brookhaven, made decent money, and had spent the last 6 years clawing my way out of debt. I had parents who I thought loved me and a younger sister named Marlette, who was 3 years younger than me. From the time we were kids, my parents had roles picked out for us. I was the strong and independent one who could handle anything. Marlette was fragile and sensitive, someone who needed constant protection from life's difficulties. That meant I got to deal with problems on my own while Marlette got all the help and support. When I was 15, I wanted a laptop for school. I worked after school at a grocery store, saved every dollar for months, and finally bought a used one with a noisy fan that overheated if you used it too long. I was proud of that laptop. I had earned it myself. The morning after I brought it home, I walked into the kitchen and saw Mom handing Marlette a brand new Mapletech Breeze book. Not used, not refurbished. Brand new in the box with a glowing silver leaf logo on it. For your school project, Mom said, smiling at her. Marlette was 12. Her school project was a poster about the solar system. I stood there with my second-hand laptop that sounded like a lawnmower, and nobody said a word about the difference. When Marlette was 13, she borrowed my bike. She said she needed it for an hour to ride to a friend's house. I said yes because that's what you do for family, right? She brought it back 2 days later. It had been lying in the rain behind her friend's house. The chain was rusted, the seat was torn, and the handlebars were bent. Marlette didn't mean to leave it there, Dad said when I complained. Don't be dramatic. Just fix the bike. She took my things all the time after that. Clothes, books, makeup, whatever she wanted. She would return them damaged or not at all. And every time I got upset, my parents told me to stop overreacting. Marlette didn't mean any harm. She was just borrowing. You need to be more understanding. I went to college on a partial scholarship. The rest I covered with student loans that felt like a weight I would carry forever. I lived at home to save money, but my parents charged me $540 a month in rent. Marlette lived there for free. In college I worked 2 jobs, waitressing on weekends, tutoring during the week. I saved every cent I could, putting cash into a cedar jewelry box I kept on a shelf in my room. It wasn't a bank account because I didn't want my parents to know how much I had saved. I was paranoid about it. And looking back, I should have trusted that instinct. After 3 years, I had saved $4,460. It was going to be my emergency fund, my cushion, the thing that would let me move out and start my own life. One day I came home from class and the box felt light. Opened it. Me. I ran into the living room with the empty box in my hands, shaking. My parents were there. Marlette too. She was 17. Where's my money? All of it is gone. Mom looked at me calmly. We used it to pay for Marlette's ACT prep classes. She needs them for college applications. That was my money. I saved that for 3 years. Dad frowned at me. Don't be dramatic, Callista. Family helps family. You stole from me. We didn't steal. We borrowed. You'll understand when you're older that families share resources. I never agreed to this. You went into my room and took my money without asking. Mom sighed like I was being difficult. Marlette needed help. You're strong enough to handle this setback. She isn't. I moved out 3 months after I graduated, got a tiny apartment, started paying my student loans, and cut my contact with my family down to holidays and occasional phone calls. I worked hard, spent carefully, and put every extra dollar toward those loans. By the time I was 28, I had finally paid them off. All of them, every single cent. And with my first loan-free paycheck, I put a down payment on a car. A brand new silver 2024 Hawkline Sarah. It wasn't fancy, but it was mine. The first new thing I had ever owned. Every monthly payment felt like a small victory. Proof that I could do things on my own, that I didn't need anyone's help. I drove to my parents' house the day after I bought it, wanting to share the moment. They congratulated me, said all the right things, but I saw something in their eyes. Displeasure. Like my success somehow made Marlette look worse by comparison. I ignored it, told myself I was being paranoid. They were my parents. They wanted good things for me. One morning a few weeks later, I walked out of my apartment building to go to work. My parking spot was empty. I stared at the empty space, confused. I walked around the lot, thinking maybe I had parked somewhere else and forgotten. But no, it was gone. Panic set in. I called the towing company, the apartment management, anyone I could think of. Nobody had towed it. Nobody had seen anything. Called my parents. Mom answered on the second ring, voice cheerful. Callista, good morning, sweetie. Mom, my car is gone. Someone stole it. I need to call the police, but I wanted to tell you first in case. Oh, we have your car. Froze. What? Your father and I picked it up this morning. We used your spare key. My spare key. The one I kept in my purse. Then I remembered Mom had come over last night. Unexpected visit. Brought a pie from the bakery down the street. I thought it was strange, her just showing up like that. Now I knew why. You took my keys out of my purse. Well, yes. We needed them to get the car. You stole my car. She laughed. We didn't steal, Callista. Don't be dramatic. We gave it to Marlette. She got a new job and she can't take the bus anymore. She needs it more than you do. That's my car. I'm making payments on it. You can manage without a car for a few weeks. You're resourceful. Marlette really needs this right now. Dad's voice came through another phone. He must have picked up the other extension. The car's staying in the family. Callista, you're overreacting. It's not theft. You already stole money from me once, I said, my voice shaking. In college. You took my savings to pay for her ACT classes. Now you're stealing my car. Sighed. That same tired sigh she always used when she thought I was being unreasonable. Don't start with that again, Callista. Marlette is having a hard time right now. She needs support. I remembered then Marlette's car history. Her first car crashed when she ran a red light. Her second crashed when she veered into a mailbox while texting. Her third totaled when she drove home drunk from a party. 3 cars, 3 crashes. And now my car, the one I had spent 6 years paying student loans to afford, was being handed to her like a spare pair of shoes. Marlette will crash it, I said. Just like she crashed every other car. You're being selfish, Callista. Mom's voice went cold. Your sister needs help, and all you can think about is yourself. Dad cut in. Give her a few weeks. She'll bring the car back when she's settled into her new job. No, she won't. She never returns anything she takes from me. Never. I hung up and immediately dialed 911. 20 minutes later, a police officer arrived at my apartment complex. Officer Serrano, according to her badge. She was professional, calm, and she listened to everything I said without interrupting. I handed her all my documents. Registration in my name, insurance in my name, loan payments coming from my bank account. Everything proved the car belonged to me. Did you give anyone permission to take your car? She asked. No, nobody. My mother stole my spare key from my purse last night and gave it to my sister. Officer Serrano took photos of the empty parking space. She checked the security camera footage from the parking lot. The video showed Marlette walking up to my car at 6 o'clock in the morning, unlocking it with a key and driving away. I'm putting out an alert for the vehicle, Serrano said. Theft within a family is still theft. The law doesn't make exceptions for relatives. After she left, I sat on the curb in the parking lot, staring at the empty asphalt where my car should have been. Calling the police on your own family felt wrong. It twisted something inside me, made me feel guilty and angry at the same time. But then I thought about Marlette driving my car, probably laughing, telling people it was hers, acting like she had earned it when she had never earned anything in her life. My phone buzzed. Text from Mom. You called the police on your own sister. What is wrong with you? Then Dad. Withdraw the report immediately. You're tearing this family apart over a car. Then Marlette, finally. I can't believe you did this. I need this car for work. You're ruining my life. Not once did she ask if I was okay. Not once did she apologize for taking it. Just accusations and demands. I didn't respond to any of them. The next morning, Officer Serrano called. We found your car. Your sister was pulled over for speeding near Pinecrest Junction. The vehicle has been impounded. She's being questioned at the station now. I drove a rental car to the impound lot that evening. When I saw my car, my stomach dropped. Fast food wrappers everywhere. On the seats, on the floor, stuffed into the cup holders. Cosmetics smeared on the passenger door. Foundation and lipstick ground into the fabric. An energy drink spilled across the center console, sticky and dried. Dirt caked into the floor mats. The gas tank was nearly empty. My emergency blanket was crumpled in the back seat like trash. Marlette had owned the car for 8 hours. 8 hours, and she had destroyed it. Officer Serrano walked over. People don't take care of things they didn't earn. We see it all the time. I spent 2 hours cleaning the car before I could drive it home. My hands shook the whole time. A week later, I sat on a hard wooden bench outside a courtroom. My parents sat across from me, whispering to each other and shooting angry looks in my direction. Marlette sat between them, staring at the floor. Her leg bounced constantly. She wouldn't look at me. When the judge called the case, Marlette was asked to read a statement. Her hands trembled as she unfolded the paper. I acknowledged that I took my sister's car without her permission. I knew the car did not belong to me. I took it anyway, assuming my sister would forgive me because she always has before. I was wrong. I'm guilty and I apologize. The judge looked at her for a long moment, then read the sentence. 6 months probation. 1 year suspension of her driver's license. Reimbursement for towing and impound fees. Gasp. Dad's jaw tightened. They both immediately moved to Marlette, hugging her, whispering comfort, protecting her from consequences. Even as those consequences were finally being handed down, they never once looked at me. When the courtroom emptied, I stood still and let them walk past. Marlette came within inches of me. Her face was red, eyes puffy from crying. She hesitated like she wanted to say something, but Mom's hand grabbed her arm and pulled her forward. I heard Mom whisper to her as they walked away. Don't apologize to her. This isn't your fault. The courtroom door closed behind them. Something inside me went quiet. The anger, the hurt, the guilt, all of it settled into a calm certainty. I had done the right thing. Outside, I got into my car, ran my fingers over the steering wheel. The car was mine again. But more than that, my life was mine. My boundaries were mine. My choices were mine. Nobody was going to take from me anymore. In the weeks that followed, the phone calls from relatives stopped. The guilt messages stopped. The pressure to forgive and forget just faded away. I moved to a new apartment on the west side of Brookhaven. Didn't tell my family the address, changed my phone number, and only gave it to people who actually respected me. My days found a rhythm. Quiet mornings, long walks, evenings, and silence that didn't demand anything from me. For the first time in my life, I felt free. The first few months in my new apartment were strange. I kept waiting for something bad to happen, for someone to demand something from me, for the guilt to come crashing back. But it never did. I woke up when I wanted, ate what I wanted, came home to silence that belonged to me. No one borrowed my things without asking. No one told me I was being selfish for having boundaries. No one took from me. Felt like I could finally breathe. Work became easier too. Without the constant background stress of family drama, I could focus completely on my projects. My manager noticed, gave me bigger assignments, more responsibility. I was good at my job when I wasn't spending half my energy dealing with my family's chaos. I made friends at work. Real friends who invited me to things and actually showed up when they said they would, who borrowed money and paid it back, who asked before taking. Normal things that should have always been normal but never had been. Sometimes I thought about my parents, wondered if they understood what they had done. Wondered if they missed me or if they were just angry that I had stopped being their solution to Marlette's problems. I didn't reach out, didn't call, didn't send cards on holidays. I had given them my entire childhood and most of my 20s. That was enough. My new apartment had a small balcony that overlooked a park. I started sitting out there in the evenings with coffee, watching people walk their dogs, kids playing on the swings. Normal life happening around me, and I was part of it now. Not separate, not the responsible one, managing everyone else's messes. Just a person living her life. One Saturday morning, about 8 months after the court hearing, I was at a coffee shop near my apartment when I ran into someone from my old neighborhood. Rowena, a woman who had lived a few houses down from my parents. Callista. Oh my God, I haven't seen you in forever. She hugged me before I could respond. How have you been? Your mom said you moved, but she didn't know where. I'm good. Really good, actually. Rowena's smile faltered a little. I heard about what happened with Marlette and the car. That must have been awful. It was necessary. Still, taking your own sister to court. She trailed off, clearly fishing for me to feel guilty. She stole my car. I reported a crime. That's how it works. But family is family, right? I'm sure if you just talk to them. I'm not interested in talking to them. Rowena looked uncomfortable. Your mom is really upset. She tells everyone how much she misses you. I took a sip of my coffee. If she missed me, she wouldn't have chosen Marlette over me my entire life. She wouldn't have stolen my college savings. She wouldn't have taken my car keys and given my car to my sister without asking. I didn't know about all that. Most people don't. They just see my mom crying about how her daughter won't speak to her. They don't see the 30 years of taking that came before that. Rowena nodded slowly. I'm sorry. That sounds really hard. It was. But it's better now. We talked for a few more minutes, then she left. I sat there finishing my coffee, thinking about what she had said. My mom was telling people she missed me. Playing the victim. Painting herself as the hurt parent instead of the one who had enabled theft. It didn't surprise me, but it also didn't bother me as much as I thought it would. Let her tell her version. I knew the truth. The people who mattered knew the truth. That was enough. A year after the court hearing, I came home from work to find an envelope in my mailbox. No return address, but I recognized the handwriting immediately. Marlette's. I stood in the lobby of my building holding that envelope for a long time. Part of me wanted to throw it away without reading it. Part of me was curious what she could possibly have to say after everything. Opened it. The letter was short, 1 page, written in Marlette's looping handwriting that I remembered from birthday cards and school projects. Callista. I'm not writing to make excuses or ask for forgiveness. I'm in therapy now, learning about boundaries and responsibility, learning to live without taking from other people. It's hard. I didn't realize how much of my life was built on taking until I couldn't do it anymore. I know I hurt you. Not just with the car but with everything before that. The bike, your clothes, your money, all of it. I took and never thought about what it cost you. I'm trying to be better now. I don't know if I'll ever actually be better, but I'm trying. Sorry. I know that doesn't fix anything. I just wanted you to know that I understand now what I did. Even if you never forgive me, you deserve to know that I finally get it. Marlette. I read it twice. Then I folded it carefully and put it in my desk drawer. I didn't respond. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe I should have written back, acknowledged the apology, given her credit for going to therapy. But I didn't owe her that. I didn't owe her anything. She had spent 25 years taking from me. An apology, even a genuine one, didn't erase that. Didn't make up for all the things she took and never returned. Didn't give me back the childhood where I was the protected one instead of the strong one. I believe she was trying to be better. I hoped she succeeded for her own sake. But that didn't mean I needed to be part of her life while she figured it out. Some people think forgiveness is mandatory, that you have to forgive family no matter what they do because blood is thicker than water. But I learned that forgiveness is a choice, not an obligation. And I chose not to forgive. Not because I was angry but because I was done. Done giving. Done sacrificing. Done being the strong one who could handle anything. I had spent my whole life being what my family needed me to be. Now I was just being myself. And that was enough. The letter stayed in my desk drawer. I saw it sometimes when I was looking for something else. It didn't make me sad or angry anymore. It was just a piece of paper, a record of something that happened. Nothing more. I went to work, came home, sat on my balcony, lived my quiet, peaceful life. And I never once regretted walking away from the people who had spent 30 years taking from me. 2 years after the court hearing, I got a promotion at work. Senior programmer with a team of 3 people reporting to me. Better pay, better benefits, and the kind of respect I had worked my whole life to earn. I celebrated by taking myself out to dinner at a nice restaurant downtown. Sat at the bar, ordered the expensive wine, ate slowly, and enjoyed every bite. No one was there to take half my food off my plate. No one was there to borrow money they'd never pay back. Just me celebrating my own success. The bartender asked if I was waiting for someone. Nope. Just me tonight, celebrating something. Promotion. Maybe that makes me cold. Maybe I should have written back, and poured me another glass on the house. Congratulations. You look happy. I was happy. Genuinely happy in a way I hadn't been in years. Maybe ever. My car was completely paid off now. No more monthly payments. No more stress about making the deadline. I owned it free and clear. Every time I got in it, I felt that small surge of pride. This was mine. I had earned it. I had protected it. The interior still showed some faint stains from Marlette's 8 hours of destruction, but I had gotten most of it cleaned. The rest I kept as a reminder that I had stood up for myself, that I had drawn a line and enforced it. I made new traditions for myself. Sunday mornings at the farmer's market. Thursday evenings at a book club I joined. Monthly hiking trips with coworkers along the Greenbelt trails. A life built on things I actually wanted to do, not obligations to people who didn't appreciate me. Sometimes people asked about my family, coworkers making small talk, new friends getting to know me. Do you see your parents much? No, we're not in contact. Oh, sorry. That must be hard. It's actually better this way. Most people didn't push after that. The ones who did got a polite but firm explanation that some relationships are healthier when they end. Usually they backed off then, uncomfortable with the idea that family ties could be voluntarily severed. But I was comfortable with it. More than comfortable. It was the best decision I had ever made. 3 years after I changed my number, my phone rang with a call from an unknown number. I almost didn't answer, but something made me pick up. Hello. Silence for a moment, then a familiar voice. Callista. It's Dad. My stomach tightened. How did you get this number? Your cousin Ellen. She thought we should be able to reach you in case of emergency. I made a mental note to have a conversation with Ellen about boundaries. What do you want? Your mother isn't doing well. She's been depressed. The doctor says she needs family support. She has Marlette. Marlette is trying, but your mother misses you. She wants to see you. No. Callista, she's your mother. You can't just abandon her. The irony of that statement was almost funny. They had abandoned me emotionally my entire childhood, but somehow I was the one abandoning them by refusing contact. She abandoned me first. Every time she chose Marlette over me. Every time she took my things and gave them to my sister. Every time she told me to stop being dramatic when I was hurt. She abandoned me for 30 years. We did our best. We were trying to help both of you. No, you weren't. You were helping Marlette. I was just expected to deal with everything on my own because I was strong and independent. Well, I'm still strong and independent. And I'm using that strength to stay away from people who hurt me. You're being selfish. I'm being healthy. There's a difference. I hung up, blocked the number, called Ellen, and asked her firmly never to give out my contact information again. She apologized, said she thought she was helping. I explained that helping would have been respecting my choices. After that call, I felt shaky for a few hours. Old guilt trying to creep back in. Old patterns trying to reassert themselves. But I sat with it, let it pass, and by evening I was fine again. They didn't get to reclaim me just because they finally needed something from me. I wasn't a resource. I wasn't a backup plan. I wasn't the strong one who would fix everyone's problems. I was just a person living my life. And that life didn't include them. 4 years after everything happened, I was offered a job in Summit Ridge, near Denver. Better position, significant pay increase, new challenges. I accepted without hesitation. Packing up my apartment, I found Marlette's letter in my desk drawer. I looked at it for a long moment, then I threw it away. I didn't need to keep it anymore. Didn't need the reminder of what she had done or what she had apologized for. I was moving forward, literally and figuratively. Denver was cold in winter and beautiful in summer. I bought a small house on the west side with a view of the mountains. Made new friends. Dated someone for a while, though it didn't work out. Built a life that was entirely mine. Sometimes late at night, I wondered what my family was doing. If Marlette had really changed. If my parents understood what they had lost. If they ever thought about me the way I sometimes thought about them. But those thoughts didn't hurt anymore. They were just curiosity, not longing. I had learned the most important lesson of my life from them, even though they never intended to teach it. I learned that I didn't owe anyone my suffering. That I could choose who got access to my life. That blood relation didn't mean unconditional tolerance of bad behavior. I learned that I was worth protecting, worth defending, worth choosing. And I learned that walking away from people who hurt you isn't weakness, it's strength. My family had called me strong and independent my whole life, usually as an excuse to give me less than they gave Marlette. But they were right about one thing. I was strong. Strong enough to survive without them. Strong enough to build a life on my own terms. Strong enough to say no and mean it. Strong enough to be happy. And I was. I really truly was. The car I had fought so hard to keep was still running perfectly. I drove it to work every day, windows down in summer, heat blasting in winter. My car. My life. My choice. Nobody was taking anything from me ever again. And that was exactly how I wanted it.